Even in his failure, there was a life-giving aspect, full of love, generosity, and sacrifice. Welcome to Sunday Reach from the Dominican friars of the province of India. Dear brothers and sisters, we are on the third week of Lent. We are making a journey walking with Jesus. We are not simply some sympathizers watching the sufferings of Jesus. We walk with Him in order to participate in His life, sacrifice, and death. Many things we speak so gloriously about Jesus are brought to a question in the context of His suffering. We might defend the same godly hero image of Jesus, saying that He was victorious, or that they were all for us, or they were the penalty for our sins. For a moment, let us look at Him as a failing and helpless. He was humiliated, beaten, and killed. He was a victim of an unjust system. The one whom we accompany, whom we follow, whom we desire to imitate, did fail. Let all sufferings come to me was not the approach of Jesus. Those sufferings were inevitable in the way of giving life. Even in His failure, there was a life-giving aspect, full of love, generosity, and sacrifice. Look at the failure of the Son of Man and the burning bush at a more closely. The bush blazing but not being burned up. Israel was in a miserable state in Egypt, but they were not to be destroyed. Why was the bush not burned to ashes? Why a crushed people were not destroyed? The answer lies in this. God called Moses from the middle of the bush. Where God is alive, there cannot be any destruction. In the utter failure of the cross, there is life because God is alive even in His dying. Dear friends, the bush represented the miserable state of the Israelites in Egypt. God lived among those who had no life. We to live a life of burning bush, seemingly to be destroyed. Are there failures, humiliations, unjust sufferings, or even natural sufferings from aging and sicknesses in us? Our hope is there in the image that the bush was not burned up, because God is alive in us and in our pains, even in our death, dear friends. Here is something that we learn from Jesus on the cross, a burning bush still alive. He endured His sufferings in total self-emptying, in love, in sacrifice, in generous giving of His life. It is not an attempt to exalt sufferings, not to romanticize them. Walking with Jesus, especially looking up to His death on the cross, we are trying to examine the fruitfulness of our own lives. Here again, what matters is whether we are able to find confidence in God and trust in God that God is alive in our life, our human struggles. Often we are in doubt whether we deserve God's love, whether God can be alive in us. Moment to moment in our struggles, Christ touches us with grace, stirring our hearts, digging and manuring. God is alive in our struggles. It is from God that we have our nourishment. If we cannot believe that living presence and are surer of the effects of our failures, the bush can be burned, empty of life, producing no fruits. But after all, does it make any sense to us when we see face to face the victims of war, those who flee their homeland, those who are abused and killed, or when we ourselves undergo such sufferings? Words fall short after all these beautiful sayings. Then we have only one word: Jesus. He suffered and died. God was alive in Him. We too struggle and God is alive in us too. we will not only live, but we will be producing an abundance of fruits, a good harvest.